Hello, happy Wednesday, and welcome to the second session of the Google Ads AI Summer Bootcamps. Welcome back if you're here yesterday for our session on mastering measurement with third-party data in our AI-first world. And if you missed that, you can always catch the recording on the Accelerate with Google platform. And speaking of recordings, if you are watching the recording of this session, because maybe you're currently on your well-deserved summer holiday and are now catching up, welcome back. And also a warm welcome to you to this session. Our topic today is unleashing the power of AI to boost marketing performance. And we'll be looking at the prerequisites and the correct steps to do this, and then explore new solutions and features that are getting performance advertisers, including myself, very excited these days. Before we start, we always have some logistics. You probably discovered it already because I can see many of you saying hi. There is a chat, which I would love for you to use to ask questions during the session. I have prepared lots of content for you, but I want to make sure you get out of today what you need. So please ask if anything is not clear or you're missing some information. And I will get to your questions either during the session if it fits into the flow, or if not, then definitely at the end. And I love seeing all the interaction. If you haven't yet, why don't you say hi and tell us where you're joining us from today? It's so cool to see you from all corners of Europe and even beyond. It's almost like being on holidays myself. We have some useful resources linked for you here in the platform. The one that is probably the most important one for you is going to be a summary document with the important key takeaways of today's session. And the one that's most important for me is going to be the feedback form, but we'll get to that at the end. If you have not signed up for the third session in this AI Summer Bootcamp series, you can use this QR code to do that. And we'll meet here again tomorrow at the same time, same place, but a different exciting topic. We'll be talking about video campaign types and how we can leverage AI to unlock the different marketing goals that video campaigns can serve. But today we're here. And if you're joining us for the first time, it's very nice to meet you. My name is Christina, and this week I'm your host, delivering these training sessions to you for Google. But this is a special week. In most other weeks of the year, I work as a PPC consultant and run my own agency. And my work is probably very similar to what you do every day, running and optimizing campaigns, and then also working with clients and stakeholders on getting the most out of Google Ads for them. And during the 15 years that I have worked with Google Ads, never has been a dull moment, but especially now, we do live in very exciting times with all the AI developments happening around us. And that's exactly why we are here today to talk about all of them. We'll start off with a recap of Google AI and marketing, and we'll then speak about value-based bidding and smart bidding explorations. Then we come to the star of today's show, which are the new AI Max campaigns for search. And then the last section will be on new features in PMax campaigns and some best practices around PMax and search. And then I have reserved time for your questions at the end. But as I said, please put them in the chat anyway at any time during the session so you don't forget. So let's dive in and look at where we are today with Google AI in marketing. If you didn't just start your job yesterday, or even if you did, you probably know that AI has impacted the area of sales and marketing greatly, both in terms of the work that we do, but also of how we can effectively reach our goals. And according to Group M, AI-enabled advertising will be 90% of all advertising by 2027. And that means that it's either fully automated across inventory, like in PMax and app campaigns, or if it's inventory specific, like paid search campaigns, then aspects like bidding, creative, and targeting will be automated. And I would be lying if I told you that I'm not thinking about the impact AI has on my job and what our work as marketers will look like 5 years from now. But the truth is, the things that I did when I worked with Google Ads 15 years ago were very different from the things I did 10 years ago and 5 years ago. And that is, again, very different from today because there's always an evolution and we just adapt with our fields. And one thing is for certain, human touch matters in AI-powered advertising and most other places. And if you've tried to let an AI agent to do really anything complex autonomously, you know this. AI needs context, AI needs supervision, and AI needs collaboration. We have to set the right goals, we have to fuel the AI with data, we have to give it context and interpret the results and then refine the goals to make sure that they really work for us or for our companies. And I've brought some data from a BCG study where they found that using technology to enhance digital marketing actually improved results by 20%. But the true magic happens when a human who understands the tech gets involved and guides it, because then another 15% performance improvement can be unlocked. So let's make sure we are the humans who know all that we need to know so that we can guide the tech and unlock this development. And the tech is definitely getting better and better and doing its part with lots of quality improvements that increase conversion in performance max campaigns is the example here. But also beyond those quality improvements that make the tech better, we have also seen many new features that give us more transparency and ways to steer the AI. And we'll look at some of them today. And PMax is only one of the AI-driven campaign types that we will talk about. Let me introduce you to the Power Pack, if you haven't already heard about it at Google Marketing Live or from your account manager. The Power Pack is the best of Google AI for your performance and consists of PMax, AI Max for search, and demand gen. And the first two we will talk about extensively today. And then demand gen is a core topic during tomorrow's session. So stay tuned for that and join me tomorrow as well, to talk about everything that there is to talk about. As I said, the focus today is AI Max for search and Performance Max, which is the winning combination that helps us multiply results across all of Google's touch points. And when we talk about an AI capability add-on for our search campaigns, because that is ultimately what AI Max for search is. It's not a new campaign type. It's a feature that we turn on in the campaigns, and we'll see that. But yeah, whenever something new comes up already automatically, I have questions. Why is this necessary? Won't PMax cover any incremental search traffic that my search campaigns don't yet capture? So why do we need this? And yes, PMax and AI Max for search can cover some of the same searches, but AI Max is a search-only product. And so investments we make here definitely go into search traffic, which is what most advertisers want to maximize because of the intent and the presence we want to have on search. But as we will see when we discuss this campaign type in more detail, it also enables a lot more creative customization and also the control in that, which is, of course, what we want. And we'll get back to the members of the Power Pack later. I now want to spend some time on the basics because the prerequisite for any automated campaign type to be successful is our ability to tell the Google Ads system and the AI what success actually looks like. So that's what we have in this section. And we have to connect our business goals with our campaigns through conversion tracking to kind of transport that message across to the campaigns. And to do that, we have to take the first step, which is building a durable measurement foundation. And you can look back at yesterday's measurement session for more detail on what that means in our first-party data-driven world. But yeah, to make it short here, you should be using the Google tag with enhanced conversions and leverage offline conversion adjustments if you have an online shop and are dealing, for example, with returns. Or you can also use Google Analytics to import your conversions. And once this foundation is in place, we can enhance it with additional value data. Like if you're an e-commerce advertiser, it's quite straightforward. You add transactional sales value data, so you pass your transaction total or your shopping cart value as the conversion value. We can use new customer acquisition, a feature which we'll discuss in more detail later that helps us optimize for different types of customers. If you are eligible for it, you can use store visits data and store visit sales data. Or if it's your business model, you can also leverage app conversions. And once you have these basics in place, you can consider also advanced solutions that are used by more sophisticated advertisers. So what you can do is, instead of passing sales data, you could pass through profit data, so that you're really optimizing for your business goal, and not just kind of for overall revenue, because there is sometimes a difference between that. Or if you have the capabilities and the marketing intelligence and the business intelligence, you can also pass user level customer lifetime value predictions. That is pretty advanced, but if you can, then obviously that is amazing. Because over time, what we want to do is we want to climb this ladder towards long-term profit optimization. Because that is how AI works. We give it a goal, and then it optimizes for what we tell it to do. So if we optimize for clicks, like at the left side of this ladder, and we use CPC or maximize clicks, what we get is traffic. Will that traffic convert? We don't know. Chances are it might actually not be the best quality traffic, because if your competition is optimizing for actual outcomes, their system will know which users are valuable, and they can bid higher on those users, whereas your system only is interested in clicks. So it could potentially get you the cheaper, low-value clicks. And that's obviously an example from the extreme end of the journey. But the better that system understands what you want to achieve, the better it can achieve it. So that's why we want to, if we start all the way on the left, but maybe I think from my experience also most advertisers are somewhere in the middle, we do want to always give pass the most relevant data back into the system to optimize for that. So what are the steps on this journey? The first step is to track and share data. And that is not just tracking macro conversions, so your like money in the bank business outcome, but also all the meaningful actions along a customer's journey towards a conversion. And here are some examples of what that looks like for different business objectives, like the different steps that people take. And it's important to note that we want to track all the conversions. So all the micro conversions, the little steps, looking at a product page, adding something to the shopping cart, going to the checkout page, and then checking out. We want to track all of these, but we only want to optimize for the most meaningful conversion in our Google Ads account. So that's the primary conversion that we set up. That is the conversion that we set up as a primary conversion in our Google Ads account, to make sure that that's what the campaigns optimize for, and we track all other conversions as secondary. And here are the three main options that we have for tracking conversions. So we have the regular online conversion tracking that is either set up through the GTAG or that imports conversions from GA4. We have offline conversions, which are now also in the enhanced conversions world are called enhanced conversions for leads, but a lot of people still refer to them as offline conversions. We'll talk about them in a bit more detail in the next slides. Or if you have access to it, you can also use the offline conversion API to get offline conversion data into the system. That would usually be integrated with, like usually your CRM. But they're also in between solutions, which I can talk about more if there's time and you have questions. So if you're doing e-commerce, it's pretty straightforward. It's like and I say this knowing that e-commerce advertising is not always very straightforward, but the conversion tracking is a lot more straightforward than if your marketing campaigns generate leads. Because if you generate leads, you probably have longer conversion cycles, and also not all of your conversions happen online. So you have to set up offline conversions in order to get meaningful data into your system. Because usually the online conversion that you track is like the initial form submission, and that often is not something you want to optimize for, because lead quality at this stage is mixed. I think is often the best way to say it. And I work a lot with a lot of B2B advertisers, and using a more meaningful conversion later in the journey as opposed to the initial form submission is always a game changer for their overall performance, because we make sure that we really optimize for like a quality conversion, and not any form submission. And if this is what we're looking to do, the first step we need to take is mapping out our lead to sale journey to understand all the critical steps that a customer takes towards a conversion. And I mean, the examples we have here of car sales, of banks, and of real estate with like very clear steps are all very tangible. In classic B2B sales, this is often a marketing qualified lead, sales qualified lead, an opportunity, and then of course the closed won sale at the end. And what exactly these mean and how each stage get triggered can vary wildly for different companies, and unfortunately also within companies often. So aligning on this normally requires some internal conversations, but these conversations and discussions are a great opportunity to actually just get the right people to sit at a table together, to not just talk about the process and also get some customer insights, but also discuss what the different conversion stages are worth to you, because that's the next step. We need to get conversion values into the system. Again, as a retailer, this is more straightforward. Your starting point is usually your shopping cart value, but as we saw on the ladder to success, maybe it's possible for you to optimize for profit or customer lifetime value. Like my last full-time role before I worked for myself was at the online art shop Unique, where we sold everything printed on art printed on everything. And for the longest time, t-shirts always seemed to perform really well for us when we looked just at revenue. But then when we took margin and return rates into account, we actually realized that we are much better off selling wall art and concentrating on that. And so then what we did is and this is a while ago, we were MacGyvering it a little, but we basically used some lookups in our tag manager to actually get profit values into the system and optimize and margin values into the system, and then optimized for that, which ultimately led to us actually dropping the fashion category. But this is something you really like. It really makes a difference into how profitable the business is for us, our marketing was for us at the end of the day, even though the top line numbers looked great when we were selling lots of t-shirts. So this is in e-commerce, and I said it's straightforward, but it's more it is straight. It's also complicated, but at least we have one conversion that we can focus on. For lead gen, it's a bit more complicated, because we usually only know the actual transaction value only after a prospect has gone through the whole sales cycle. And actually, in order to give the algorithms the best chance at optimization, the more immediate after the click the conversion occurs, the better it is. So we have to make a trade-off. Which conversion is most meaningful, but also timely enough to feed the system? And when I had this discussion with the smart bidding product team for one of my clients recently, they told me like 2 weeks really should be the cutoff, but also anything earlier is potentially better. So I think it's like recency plays a role. Volume obviously also plays a role of which conversion we use. And then what value do we pass into the system? Ideally, it's something that's an approximation of the final deal value for our company. So for software, like it really depends on what the product is and how the pricing is structured. But for software, often if it's like number of seats that the company sells, then maybe we already have that. We have the employee size of the company available at an early stage, and we can use that as an approximation. So this is where it's really important to get a few people sit together at a table and discuss this. But yeah, what is the most important thing across business models is that we want to make sure that the value that we choose most closely represents the business objective, because that is what the algorithms are going to go and optimize for. And once you have your data in your system and you have enough data points, 50 conversions in 30 days is the minimum, you can then use value-based smart bidding strategies. And if your goal is efficiency and you have a ROAS target, and also your campaigns are hitting in the area of that ROAS target, you can use maximize conversion value with target ROAS. Or if you want to maximize volumes and your campaigns are still working towards the target ROAS, you can use maximize conversion value without a target ROAS setting. And value-based bidding strategies are superior to conversion-based bidding strategies. So optimizing for ROAS versus optimizing for cost per conversion, because except for some edge cases, not every conversion is worth the same, because customers spend different amounts with you. Very logical. So you should always work towards getting enough conversion volume and getting conversion values into your system to use value-based bidding to drive maximum results. But obviously, if you don't have that volume or you don't have enough data, then conversion-based is a good is kind of like maybe your next step in the journey until you're ready for value-based. And here is another version of the success ladder we saw earlier. It's just that this time it's a flowy graph. Optimizing for number of conversions, like I said, with or without a specific CPA is a start, and definitely better than not leveraging any smart bidding at all. But if you want to impact your business bottom line, you want to use conversion values, and again, align these as closely as possible to your business results. So revenue is like online sales values, revenue is good, but margins or even lifetime values are even better. And here are a few important things to keep in mind when you're bidding to conversion values. The metrics that you want to focus on are conversion value divided by cost, or ROAS, and the total conversion value, because this is what the system optimizes for. If that means that you're bidding higher to achieve it, then this is what it does. And I've consulted with a marketing leader recently who's not really in the weeds of PPC. And he asked me, if we do the optimizations and follow your recommendations, what changes in our CPCs can we expect? Like, will they go down? How will our KPIs change? And then I had to explain that CPCs might actually go up because we are going after more valuable users. And so it's really important, especially if you have stakeholders who kind of like look at all the KPIs and might have a reaction if they see CPCs going up, to maybe manage expectations that this is something that can actually happen. But that's because we are focusing on outcomes. We're not just optimizing for traffic. And you can maybe use the example that I said earlier, like if you only optimize for traffic, traffic is what you're going to get. But is that the traffic that's going to get you your goal? Maybe not. Conversion volume is also important. I already said 50 per month is the minimum for this to work. And also, when you evaluate your campaigns, factor in conversion delays, because you can see in the attribution report in your account how much time typically passes between a click and a conversion. So keep that time period plus a little buffer before you draw conclusions about your performance. And also very important when you evaluate campaigns, and this is also a reminder for me, keep learning periods in mind and exclude them from your evaluation if you're running pre and post tests. And just be patient and also manage your stakeholders' patient expectations and patience around this. Here it says 4 to 7 days, but I mean, if you're managing others' expectations, I usually say it takes 2 weeks, just so that they're not on my back immediately. And here are some more best practices. Some we just mentioned, and the others are: give the campaigns enough time So report data for at least 4 weeks or 3 conversion cycles, whichever is longer. Align your budgets. If you are using a ROAS target, uncap your budgets to drive incremental value. Or if you are using max conversion value without a ROAS target, ensure your budgets are in line with your daily spend goals. Set realistic targets. So use the recommended ROAS at the time of opt-in or your last 30 days ROAS. Because if you set a goal that's too aggressive, your ads will just not show up. And also keep your campaigns steady, because any changes interrupt what the algorithm is doing. So the more steady it runs, the better. And once you have your smart bidding setup in place and you want to scale your conversion volume, we now have a feature for that as well. It's called smart bidding exploration, and you can set it up at the campaign level. And it gives your smart bidding algorithms more leeway by telling them that you would be willing to lower your target CPA or your target ROAS by a certain percentage. And that will then enable the system to just bid more expansively against your current targeting setup. And we have data that shows that advertisers saw on average a 19% increase in conversions because the campaigns were just able to tap into a wider range of search queries and categories. So this is it on value bidding and the right bidding setup. Let me know your questions. I'll get on with it, and then I'll get to them later. So let's move on to the next section and talk about AI Max for search campaigns. Because a user's search behavior changes faster than ever and users expect ever more relevant search results, Google has created this new campaign type. Well, it's not really a campaign type. It's more an upgrade within your existing search campaigns. And maybe we can have show of hands in the chat who of you is already using AI Max for search, because that would be really good to get a feel for. And this is how you enable it within the campaign settings. And we'll see this in our live demo in more detail as well. Here are the 3 most important things about AI Max for search. It helps us expand our reach and on search and drives performance because it does 3 things. It expands our keywords to find previously untapped high potential search queries through broad match and keywordless technology. It also enhances our creative in real time based on the user's unique interests, preferences, and context. And something that I really appreciate, it also gives us ad managers the control and transparency that we need, because there are a lot of insights and optimization options that we have in these campaigns, which I'll also show you in the next few slides. So whenever a new campaign feature comes along that promises better performance, the number 1 question I immediately have is, how does it actually do that? And AI Max for search does it by improving search performance at every stage of the user's ad journey. So it drives more impressions because keywordless targeting and personalized query relevance make us eligible for more ad auctions. So we show up more often. It increases click-through rates because personalized ad copy is more relevant, obviously. And that increased relevance can improve our ad rank while also driving higher click-through rates, because we know how it works. Users click on things that are more relevant to their query. And then it can also drive more website actions or conversions because it drives users to the most relevant landing page where they are more likely to take an action that we want them to take or stay engaged on the page. And this is what it looks like from the perspective of a user. So let's use the example of somebody who is searching for skincare for dry skin. I mean, you could match for this with your broad match keyword in your classic campaign, but keywordless targeting just makes the whole experience more personalized. We see 2 versions of an ad. The first one has a generic copy for skincare, which probably is your standard ad. And then the second one uses automatically created assets that creates very specific ad copy. And then the final URL directs the user to the most relevant landing page for the query. So the user experience is much more targeted than it would be if we weren't using AI Max for search. And let's now look at the 3 stages of the ad journey that we saw before and how each of those work in more detail. And we start with the search term matching. So search term matching uses intent signals to find potential consumers based on the billions of signals that Google has about users. So it looks at understanding their intent through these signals, including search history and pages visited, but also location, device, and then many, many other data points that we don't know and can't leverage otherwise. And with that, it can go beyond the actual keywords in the campaign and surface ads to users who are looking for what we're offering, even if they don't use the words that we expect them to. And this is how we can show up in more auctions that have the potential for us to convert. And then the next step is the ad itself, which is using existing text assets, landing page, and the copy on the landing page. And based on this, generative AI is creating individual variations on what is the best match for the user's query. And this can then result in higher relevance of the ad towards the search query. Like I said, that helps ad rank and also can get higher click-through rates because the user really is met where they're at. And the last part is the final URL expansion, where the machine is able to find the most relevant URL in our domain based on the individual user query and then use that as a landing page. And we can, of course, as with other URL expansion options, control which URLs are eligible for this. So we can exclude the ones we do not want to show ads for because, of course, we don't want our returns page to be advertised, for example. We have that setting. And as we saw earlier in today's presentation, leveraging AI technology is great for performance improvements, but we also need transparency and control so we can steer it. And here are the different controls that we can utilize to make sure our AI Max for search campaigns work for us. We have negative keyword lists like we have on all our search campaigns. We can provide the machine with high strength headlines and descriptions as a starting point. We then also have the option to remove assets. So we can just remove headlines and descriptions that don't align with our messaging. We can exclude the campaigns that we don't want the campaign to target. And soon we'll also have asset exclusions, where we can exclude phrases and words that we don't want to have in our ads. So we can set that up in advance and not just reactive, which is great. And based on user feedback, Google has also developed additional controls that help us when we run our AMAX for search campaigns. So we now have location targeting at the ad group level. And this matches the ad when a user includes the location in the query, even if they're outside of targeting. So if you're looking for doggy training in London while you're in Edinburgh, it's still going to show up. And if they don't include a location in the query, it will target based on location. So, I mean, we have this at the campaign level, but this for AI Max for search actually is also available at the ad group level, which is helpful for some advertisers who maybe, otherwise, I mean, I have worked with clients who have different locations because there may be like studio chains, and that makes for complex account structures. So it's great to see that can be simplified now. And we also have brand controls, which you probably already know from your PMAX campaigns. This is where we can exclude our own brand or also other brands, brand names that we don't want our search ads to show for, or we can also include them even if we want to run our own brand campaign with AI Max. There are quite a few new reports available that give us detailed insights into the performance of our AI Max for search campaigns. And these are, I'll show them to you in the demo, but we have transparency on search terms. We can see what assets are automatically created and also which landing pages are used. But there's a lot of text on this slide. I'll just show it to you in the wild. And here are the best practices for AI Max for search campaigns. And this might be a screenshot moment, actually, because there are quite a few. I won't read them all out, but I'll talk through the most important ones. We need a robust measurement setup that is correct and has all the latest features available. Like we discussed yesterday. We spoke earlier about how we should align our bid strategy to our business objectives. And the next bit is very important. Your campaigns should not already be limited by budget, and they should have a budget of at least 50 euros per day. And this is the absolute minimum. If your CPAs are high, then potentially more. Your campaign and account structure should be as simplified as possible. Again, 5 and 10 years ago was the queen of super granular account structures, because that's what gave me the control. But now my accounts have as few campaigns and as few ad groups as possible, because I want to bundle the volume in places to give the AI the best amount of data to work with. So if you have lots of campaigns and lots of ad groups with little volume, you want to consolidate them before using AI Max. And then make sure your landing pages are putting your best foot forward. Look at the landing page report in Google Ads. Maybe check their page speed. Just so you get an indicator of the performance, and optimize the ones that are not doing well. And of course, make sure your website is up to date and you're happy with the copy you have on your landing pages, because that could be pulled into you're happy for that to be pulled into your ads. And then we will now go into our demo. Thank you for pulling that up. So I'll show you my AI Max for search campaigns, which are live in the demo account, but they have only been live since yesterday. So I don't have a lot of data yet, but it is currently rolling out. And we also have a question whether how we can see that you have AI Max for search. So if you have it, you will see it in the campaign settings. It is being rolled out across accounts. Like I have it across most of my clients' accounts, and then this account got it yesterday. So it should be with you any day now. Or if you want it, you can also reach out to your account manager and maybe they can push the rollout for you. But I will go into my campaign settings and show you. So I'm here in my demo account, and these are the campaign settings we know. And then if your account is whitelisted, you will see AI Max for search campaigns here. And this is the little slider that you can use to enable the campaign. Then we have 2 checkboxes. There's text customization, which is the bit that allows the AI to create more relevant ad copy for you. You have the option to leave it off, but I would encourage you to at least test it if you can. And obviously, if you operate in an industry where all ad copy has to be legally reviewed for compliance reasons, that's a very good reason not to do it. But if you can, just give it a try. And then the next is the final URL expansion. And it's important to note that this only works when text customization is turned on. And another thing to also note is, if this is on and you have some assets in your ad pinned, some headlines or descriptions, maybe because you need them also again for compliance purposes, this will no longer be respected. So if you need pinning for legal reasons, then you also shouldn't be using this. And this is also where we can add URL exclusions, because we have a question also. Can we narrow down URLs in the AI Max campaigns to those we care about, or does the system automatically select pages from all available ones? So this is the place where you exclude the ones that you don't want to have in your campaign. And then at the ad group level, and then we can do brand inclusions, exclusions, which you know from PMax. And then within the campaign, at the ad group level, we also have some specific settings. So here we see AI Max is turned on. We have search term matching enabled. And then we have the locations of interest feature, which overrides the campaign setting if it's enabled, and helps the campaign helps target locations better. If this is empty, then we don't have to set it, then the campaign settings are used. And then there are some things we can see in reports also. So we have the keyword report, just like your normal keywords page, where you can here see you have the total, all the KPIs for your keywords, your normal keywords, and then, my activation is very new, so I don't have any data here, but you can see how your keywords expand, the AI Max keyword matches expanded, and then also the AI Max landing page matches here. So this is how you can understand what your what the AI Max is driving. And if you want to see the search queries that AI Max triggered, we can go to the search terms report, and you can add a column for source. And then this will tell us, right now it's all keyword because, again, campaign is very new. But after some time, you can then also see if it's AI Max generated, it will show up here. And we also have some more insights in the search terms report, search terms and landing pages from AI Max. And then here we can again see the search term, the asset that was used, and also the landing page. And the third type that I also want to show you is in the landing pages report. You can add this column for selected by. And this, again, right now, this is all like advertiser selected, the landing pages we put in. But if AI Max selected these, then it will also show here. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I see we have them coming, but I want to make sure I get through the content, and I'll get to your questions at the end. Because can we switch back to the slides, please? We are now coming to the last part of today's session, where we look at all the updates and best practices for PMax and search. If you're not yet using PMax, here's how you can get started with it. And if you're already running it, make sure that you take these things into account. And the best practice for PMax is to run it alongside your existing search campaigns, because it drives more conversions. And yes, there may be overlap, but as a general rule in your account, the ad with the best ad rank will serve. And if you Google like keyword priorities, I don't know, I forgot the exact query, but you're all very good at using a search engine. You can find like an overview of what gets what match type and what campaign type gets prioritized in what case. So that's actually a helpful thing to just have at the back of your mind. But yeah, you want to run PMax alongside paid search, because this is how you can always know that you're putting your best foot forward, and also rest assured that you aren't inflating your costs. Like, there's this persistent urban legend that by having overlapping targeting, you will bid against yourself, but that's not true, because only one of your ads will enter the auction at a time. So it's not like you get into a bidding war with yourself. And using PMax alongside your search campaigns makes sure that you have a consistent presence on the keywords that are important for your business through the search campaigns, while then PMax goes and captures kind of like the additional opportunities. And we already spoke about setting the right goals to get automated campaigns to perform. So that obviously applies for all campaign types. And lastly, you can use campaign experiments to test your PMax campaigns. And you can measure the performance uplift of PMax campaigns that don't yet have a shopping campaign. Sorry, you can uplift the performance of like a PMax campaign that doesn't use shopping versus like your regular campaigns, like as an uplift experiment. Or if you're still running standard shopping campaigns, you can also run a PMax experiment to see what would perform better. And there is a whole landscape of tools out there to manage your PMax, but also all your campaigns. So I'll just pick out my favorites from this page to talk about. With the performance planner, you can model potential volume or performance improvements. Then there's the insights page where I always go for performance insights on my PMAX campaigns. Then there is the channel reporting, which we'll look at in a little bit. I'm very excited about that because that's a beta in PMAX that finally gives us insights about how all the different channels within the campaign perform. And Google Ads scripts are such a great tool for really all kinds of things in your account. And they used to always be a little bit overwhelming for me because I'm not a coder. But thanks to the AI times we live in, I can now either take scripts I find on the internet and adapt them, or also use, and with Gemini, or also just use Gemini to build me scripts that really do all kinds of things in my accounts for me. So if you haven't used scripts yet, this is maybe the time to try them. I'm using AI. And here are some best practices for maximum coverage of your campaigns. And they generally, except obviously for the obvious video bit, apply to both paid search, to both search campaigns and PMAX campaigns. Obviously, you want your setup correct and your measurement correct and align your conversions with your business goals. The foundation for everything. You then want to use a daily budget that is sufficient to generate enough data. Like a rule of thumb is at least one conversion per day. Maybe if you think about also how many conversions you need to achieve overall. For measurement, use enhanced conversions and make sure you are also using data-driven attribution. As for creative, make sure your ad strength is excellent. And in PMAX, at least there's at least one video in each orientation, horizontal, vertical, or square. And last but not least, upload audience list. If you have not yet watched yesterday's session, that's where we talk about the power of first-party audiences, like customer match audiences and how you can create them. And I also showed you a very easy way of leveraging your existing conversion tracking. So use those lists, because then your search campaigns use them for their smart bidding, and you can add them to PMAX as audience signals. And something that's not mentioned on this page, but which is also really important for PMAX coverage, is final URL expansion, which we'll touch on later. And for best practice coverage with the Power Pack, follow this growth arch. So the foundation really is just always being there to capture all existing demand with broad match, uncapped budgets, and flexible targets. Then we want to make sure that we show up strong wherever our customers are looking for us. So we want to have all asset types covered and relevant messaging and a strong data feed for e-com businesses. And then at the next level, we want to capture all the demand using URL expansion, maybe with page feeds, and using also more broad match. And then the next level is going for new customers with the new customer acquisition goal and other lifecycle goals in PMAX, which we have another slide on later. So the best way to maximize performance is to enable your campaigns to show up wherever your customers are. And we can do that by having full creative asset coverage. So filling in all the slots for text, image, and video assets. And I'm sure most of you are doing this, but I also regularly come across advertisers who just assume they know what their customers want. And I mean, ad copy is important on search, but search has a strong intent, and do people really in-depth study your ad copy? I think it's debatable. But if you are reaching people outside of search, having ads that connect with the customer's true pain points and true desires is really important. So speak to your customers, speak to your sales teams, speak to your customer success teams to get those insights, and use the customer's words in your ads. Just to make sure that really, when they see your ad, it really connects with them and they are prompted to take action and don't just scroll past it. And if you're using product feeds in your PMAX campaigns, make sure that they contain all the relevant attributes, and also that your titles and descriptions are optimized. And we could also talk for another hour about optimizing shopping feeds, but that's not what we came for today. There are plenty of resources out there that help you do that. So if you have not optimized your shopping feed, that's definitely something to go on your to-do list. And obviously, something else that we can use AI for is the generation and curation of text and image assets. So you can use that during your asset creation and optimization, and we'll look more into that. From all the creative experiments that I've run, I have two, I think, universal truths that always work. Showing products in use is great for performance, and showing images that contain people also usually always outperforms images without people. Like, yeah, edge cases maybe, but generally this is what I found. And you can use your product images to create image variants right in your PMAX campaign. And then another important way of ensuring maximum coverage for your PMAX campaign is using URL expansion, because this will increase the number of auctions your campaign can participate in, and also create more relevant headlines and descriptions and send users to the right landing page. So you can enable this on your PMAX campaign and then either submit a page feed that contains all the URLs you want to include, or exclude any pages that you don't want to have as a part of this. And something that we can also do on Search and PMAX is tell the system to get us more new customers using the new customer acquisition feature. And new customer acquisition, just like getting new customers, works on both Search and PMAX. And then on PMAX, there's also the option to optimize specifically for either higher value customers or also a re-engagement setting that is aimed at bringing lapsed customers back in. So we can set this up either at the account or the campaign level by defining the value that a new customer has for us, or the value of a high value or a re-engaged customer has, and then provide the system with user lists so it knows who our existing customers or high value customers are, and or who is it we want to re-engage. And I have actually shown the setup of this in yesterday's session, so you can watch it back if you've not yet seen it. And this is the big new feature that all of us have been waiting for quite a while. We now have channel performance reporting in PMAX, which you can find in the insights and report sections. And if you don't have it yet, you might have to get whitelisted, so you can ask your account manager. And at the top of this report, we can find a KPI summary and then a very nice interactive visualization of how the different channels contribute to our different conversion goals. And there are some drop downs at the top, which you can see. You can use those to segment by channel and by ad type for more specific insights. And while I love an interactive visualization, I do love a table more. So we also have a downloadable table below this, which we can customize the columns and download and then do our analysis magic that we usually do. And understanding which channels and which assets drive performance really helps us optimize our assets better. So I'm happy we finally have this level of insight. If you have any more questions on PMAX and Search, keep them coming, because we are now in the home stretch. And I have 2 more slides for you on how we can use generative AI in Google Ads to generate creative assets and a short demo. So we now have the ability to create lifestyle imagery for our assets, right, either in our PMAX asset groups or also in the asset library. And we are in control here. So only the images that we have generated and approved are going live. And this asset generation is currently available in English, Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian, German, and Japanese. And face generation is definitely available in English and is rolling out to the other languages over the course of the rest of the year. And if we use final URL expansion in PMAX, we can also let the campaign automatically use our landing page visuals in our ads dynamically, which we can enable or disable in the PMAX campaign settings. And you can also opt in to image enhancements that crop your existing assets into the different dimensions, which that's a good thing because it makes us eligible to show our ads in more formats and more placements. And I'll now very quickly show you the image generation in my Google Ads account. Can we please go back to the demo? So we have 2 different places where we have them. One is One is right in the PMAX campaign. So if we go into our asset group and edit assets, and then here it says generate images. So we could do it here and also have options to select which aspect ratios we want. And here are actually some that I generated earlier, which that is why I love this. And then we also have the same functionality in the asset library. And if we click new, we go to image, and then let me take my prompt. I go for generate image, and then here I'm advertising puppy training sessions. And these are the images I generated yesterday, but we can generate some more. And then, yeah, you can also upload style reference images, or also, yeah, kind of like evolve your prompts and evolve the image that you have generated. So yeah, here we see the puppy training group. And yeah, I mean, if I generate them in the asset library, then they come right here. And then they also show up where I want to, in my asset selection in the PMAX campaign. So it's great that it's like I don't need to upload and download. Can we go back to the slides, please? Because we have come to the end of today's content. And before I start answering your questions, I'm conscious of the time and the fact that some of you might have meetings right away at the top of the hour. So before you leave, please fill out the feedback form for this session, because your feedback helps me personally and also the wider team that puts these sessions together with me understand how we can make them better in the future. So please let us know how we did. And if you have to drop off, you can always come back to the recording to watch the Q&A. I'll be around until we have gone through all the questions. So let me look through them now. So the question we have is, do you think it makes sense to run an A/B test comparing AI Max for search with a standard generic campaign to demonstrate the uplift to the client? I would try a time-based experiment rather than an A/B test, because I actually haven't tried setting it up as a campaign experiment, but I do find them to sometimes be a bit temperamental and like not doing an exact 50-50 split. And then, yeah, that's not ideal when to communicate to clients. So I would try to get the client to agree to like a time-based experiment. And then you kind of like choose a time period, 2 time periods that are representative, one's already in the past, and then and then you activate AI Max and of course let the learning period pass, and then kind of like compare the performance of the 2 time periods against each other after also waiting for the conversion delay. Like that is a thing that is a better way to demonstrate uplift, because then you will know that you are taking advantage of the full kind of like available search queries and don't have to rely on the system to split your spend by 50-50. And then we have the question about asset removal. Is that prior to showing them, or they show and then we remove them? At the moment, it's they show and then we remove them, but we will have the option in the future of having asset exclusion. So then we could exclude like certain phrases or words that we don't want to appear. This one we did. I use a unique specific landing page for paid campaigns because the website is not well optimized. Do you recommend activating AI Max for search anyways? In this case, and I think, I mean, for e-commerce retailers with lots of different product pages, landing page UX expansion is a no-brainer. For yeah, for business models that maybe are slightly different, and you use like dedicated landing pages for your PPC traffic that you have really optimized. And yeah, like you might maybe, like, I'm thinking as of a SaaS advertiser, for example, or like another B2B, like maybe there are some pricing and product pages which you would want to include also. But if they're not optimized, then I mean, then I would, like, you can still use AI Max for search, but then don't use the landing page expansion. And would I run traditional search side by side with AI Max? If so, would it cannibalize or complement? We can't really run them side by side because AI Max is a feature on an existing search campaigns. And then we have the question, would you suggest to keep only broad match with AI Max activation? I don't fully understand this question. I mean, I would generally, the best setup to have is having a search campaign that has broad match and is working, and then we enable AI Max on top of this. I don't, like, if you're running, I think this is also a bit of like the advertiser life cycle. Like if you are currently running only exact match, then your journey is probably to like go to broad match first and then to AI Max. Yeah, or you go straight, like, yeah, maybe if this is about match types, maybe you can let me know, or maybe I've also already answered the question. Then we have the question, is it an option to make an A/B test for AMAX versus old school, which I already said I would do a time-based experiment. Is it possible to use dynamic ad groups inside AMX search campaigns? It is, but it's kind of overlapping technology, so I would upgrade to AMX for search. Can you please explain assets and expanded landing page? Yeah, if we use landing page expansion, then the system can also take take text from the landing page to generate ad assets. I hope that makes sense and answers the question. I think otherwise it could also be a 20-minute lecture, which I want to spare us all. The next question is, what are your recommendations when we talk about value-based bidding and lead gen campaigns, especially for SaaS businesses? What I always try to do is I try to find the most meaningful conversion that has enough volume and happens quickly enough. Bonus, like here, if I have a conversion value, that's a bonus. With some of my clients, I do, some of them I don't. And yeah, I try. I mean, it really depends if it's a SaaS business, how it's charged for, and what signals we have from the beginning onwards. Like if it's, for example, and like where I've worked with clients who have like employee engagement software. So if we then have, I mean, when usually either when they submit the lead form, there's a lead form we already ask for the number of employees the company has, or we enrich the data later in our CRM. And that is then how we calculate a potential deal value. So if we have that value, we push that. What you might be alluding to is what I also sometimes see people do is basically giving the different steps within the customer journey, different conversion values, and then like using maximize ROAS. And while that on paper is a great idea, and I know some people do it and it works for them, like for me, it's very complicated and slightly wishy-washy, and for me, it's also very important to always explain what I'm doing to my stakeholders and my clients, and getting them on board with that is complicated. And also, it's just more aligned with the overall business goal. If I'm like, oh, we are getting SQLs, like search qualified leads for 300 like whatever, 300 euros for like an expensive SaaS, for example, or like our ROAS on like hypothetical deal value at the SQL stage is X. It's easier to communicate, and ultimately that's the goal that I'm optimizing for, and then making these calculations it just gets a bit muddled, and sometimes it works, but I've also like sometimes the algorithm also doesn't fully get it. How would you recommend splitting the budget percentage between PMax and search with AI Max? So I would always max out search. Haha, max. I would always max out search, because that's where I want to maintain like presence across all my important keywords. So I would make sure that I give the search campaigns as much budget as they need to run, and then PMax, if I have a total budget, then I give PMax the rest. Or if I have more flexible budgets, I would think of, okay, then how much budget do I need to run a PMax campaign? Have like handling like a minimum, depending on also how expensive your conversions are, of like 50 or 100 a day, but also like potentially much bigger. Then we have, how do AI Max and PMax work together? If there is an AI Max campaign and a PMax, won't PMax use the search channel? This is one of those, it depends. The ad with the highest ad rank will go into the auction. So we want to prioritize our search campaigns, but ultimately the one with the highest ad rank will win. So it really depends on the it really depends also on the copy that you use and on the goals that you have in the campaigns and stuff like that. And then we have the question of, as AI generated content, as we have a lot of AI generated content, or as AI generated content, it loses authenticity and doesn't build much trust. Do you think long-term human-made content will gain value for its authenticity, like tailor-made suits versus fast fashion? I mean, this is a broad philosophy, almost can also become a philosopher about this. I think it's whatever we can. Execution has become very cheap, and it has just enabled us to make so many more ads. Of course, we still need to make sure that the images that we generate fit within our brand personality and stuff like that, right? So that it's not obvious. Like if you, for example, sometimes now, if you look at a social media feed, sometimes you can just tell they've all used the same. So you want to prompt them in a way, and maybe also use reference images that it's not blatantly obvious. But then it's if you can have only one image from a studio shoot versus AI generated images that show lots of different contexts, maybe they are more relevant. So it's always a bit there's always a trade-off between more relevance versus versus high quality shoot. But even if you use AI, make sure that they still the AI images still resonate with your brand, and you can just prompt many times around that. And then this next question is, when will AI prompt generation be available in Spain and Poland? And I actually need to look. According to my information, it should already be available in Spain, and in Poland, I do not know. So maybe this is something to ask your account managers for more context about. And I think that is it with our questions. If we have no more questions, maybe we can go back. Yeah, because we are at the end of our time today. So thank you so much for coming, for interacting, for asking all your great questions. If you haven't filled out the feedback form, you can find the link in the resources section. Please let us know or let me know how I did so I can improve for you in the future. And I really hope to see you tomorrow at the next session of our AI Summer Bootcamp. It will be about video ads and display, which is, again, really exciting. I hope to see you all there. The QR code has the link in case you haven't registered yet. So tomorrow, same time, same place, different topic. Thanks again for being here with me today and have a great rest of your day.